Apple just did something they've never done before. They took the chip from the iPhone 16 Pro, shoved it into a laptop, and priced it at $599. $499 if you're a student. This is the MacBook Neo, and it might be the most disruptive product Apple has launched since the original MacBook Air. Because this isn't just a cheap Mac. This is Apple declaring war on an entire category of computers. Chromebook, budget Windows laptops, even iPads. None of them are safe anymore. So here's what's actually happening. Apple launched the MacBook Neo on March 4th, and it went on sale March 11th. It starts at $599, or $499 with the education discount. That is insane. The cheapest MacBook Air right now is $999. The cheapest Mac of any kind was the Mac Mini at $599. This is a full laptop with a keyboard, trackpad, screen, and battery for the same price. But here's the twist. This isn't running an M-series chip. Apple put the A18 Pro in this thing, the same chip that powers the iPhone 16 Pro. And before you say, that's just a phone chip, understand what that means. The A18 Pro has a 6-core CPU, a 6-core GPU, and a 16-core neural engine. It handles 4K video editing. It runs on-device machine learning models. It powers Apple Intelligence features natively. The design is also wild. It comes in 4 colors: silver, blush, citrus, and indigo. It has a liquid retina display. And for the first time on a MacBook, there's no notch. They somehow managed to build the camera into a thinner bezel without the notch that's plagued MacBook designs for years. Apple basically took everything they learned from making iPhones incredibly power efficient and said, what if we made this a laptop? Let's talk about what this actually disrupts. The Chromebook market is worth about $25 billion. Schools buy millions of them every year. The entire selling point of a Chromebook is, it's cheap, it's simple, it just works. Sound familiar? Because that's exactly what the MacBook Neo is, except it runs macOS, has a real app ecosystem, and doesn't become a paperweight the moment you lose internet. Fortune literally called this a shock to the entire market. And when Asus's CFO Nick Wu was asked about it, he said PC makers are taking it very seriously. That's corporate speak for, we're terrified. Here's the math that matters. A decent Chromebook costs $300 to $400. A MacBook Neo costs $499 to $599. For an extra $100 to $200, you get macOS, iMessage, AirDrop, the entire Apple ecosystem, real desktop apps, and a machine that will last 5 to 7 years instead of 3. For schools, that price difference basically disappears when you factor in the longer lifespan. And it's not just Chromebooks. The budget Windows laptop market, those $500 to $700 machines from Dell, HP, Lenovo, they're in trouble too. Because none of those machines can match Apple's chip efficiency. The A18 Pro sips power. You're looking at all-day battery life in a fanless design. Windows laptops at this price point still have fans, still run hot, and still give you maybe 6 hours of real-world battery. This is the part most people are missing. The MacBook Neo isn't just a product, it's a strategy. Apple has been building A-series chips for iPhones since 2010. They make hundreds of millions of them every year. The manufacturing cost per chip is incredibly low because of that volume. The M-series chips, M1 through M4, are amazing, but they're expensive to produce. They're built for pro users who need that power. The A18 Pro is built at massive scale for iPhones, which means Apple can put it in a laptop and still hit that $599 price point with healthy margins. This is a supply chain advantage that literally no other company on Earth can replicate. Google doesn't make their own laptop chips. Microsoft's Surface chips are made by Qualcomm. Dell, HP, Lenovo, they all buy from Intel or AMD. Only Apple controls the full stack from chip design to manufacturing relationships to the operating system to the retail store. And now they're using that vertical integration to undercut everyone. Think about what happens next. If the MacBook Neo sells well, and every indication says it will, Apple has a playbook. They can refresh this machine every year with the latest A-series chip from that year's iPhone. The R&D cost for the chip is already paid for by iPhone sales. The laptop is essentially getting a free ride. Let's be real about the limitations. This is not a machine for video editors or developers running Docker containers. It has 8 gigabytes of unified memory. The storage starts at 256 gigabytes. The A18 Pro is powerful for its class, but it's not competing with an M4 Pro. This is a machine for students, for anyone who mostly lives in a browser, for people who want a real laptop for writing, email, light photo editing, and consuming content. It's for the person who was going to buy a Chromebook or a $500 Windows laptop but now has a reason to go Mac instead. And for Apple, that's the entire point. Get people into the ecosystem at $599, and when they need more power in 3 years, they'll upgrade to a MacBook Air or MacBook Pro. It's the same strategy as the iPhone SE, entry-level hardware that hooks you into the platform. Here's what I think is really going on. We're entering a world where AI runs locally on your device. Apple Intelligence, on-device Siri, local LLMs, all of this needs a neural engine. The A18 Pro has a 16-core neural engine. That means even the cheapest MacBook now has serious AI capabilities built in. Apple isn't just competing on price. They're making sure that when AI becomes the default way people interact with their computers, every single Mac, even the $499 one, can run it natively. That's a move that Google, with Chrome OS, simply cannot match. The Chromebook was the answer to, what's the cheapest usable computer? The MacBook Neo is Apple saying, we can do that too, and ours is better. The $599 MacBook Neo is the most interesting thing Apple has done in years. Not because it's the most powerful, it's obviously not, but because it changes who can afford a Mac, and that changes the entire competitive landscape of personal computing. If you found this breakdown useful, hit subscribe. See you in the next one.